If you've ever driven along the Mississippi River near Alton, Illinois, you've probably heard the legend of the Piasa. That giant winged monster painted on the bluffs that supposedly swooped down to eat people. It's a really famous, spooky local story. But what if I told you that story is almost completely wrong? Okay, let's dive in and uncover the real story that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Right, so for almost 200 years, this is the story that has defined the Piasa. It all comes from this one article published back in 1836 by a settler named John Russell. He's the one who claimed Piasa meant the bird that devours men in an Illiniwek language. And just like that, a single story created a legend that's lasted for centuries. And this is where the whole popular myth just starts to fall apart. We're going to peel back the layers on this thing, moving from a simple monster tale to something way more profound, a story about a whole spiritual worldview. And the key, you'll see, is hidden in that name. So, first things first, let's talk about the name itself, because that whole sensational story from 1836, well, it just doesn't match up with the actual words of the people who lived there for generations. Okay, here's the absolute heart of it. On the left, you've got the myth we all know, Piasa, the man-eating bird. But on the right, that's the linguistic reality. The word Piasa is just a settler's mispronunciation of the Illiniwek word Páyiihsaki. And, as it turns out, Páyiihsaki has absolutely nothing to do with birds or, well, eating people. Let's just look at the proof. In the Miami, Illinois language, which is what the Illiniwek spoke, the word for bird is awisa. The verb to eat is mechi-pisiwa. I mean, you can see right there, there is just no way to get from awisa or mechi-pisiwa to Piasa. The man-eating bird story, it was basically an invention. So if it wasn't a bird, what in the world were the Illiniwek actually talking about? To get to the real story, we have to listen to the authentic beliefs of the Illiniwek Confederacy. The very people that the explorer Jacques Marquette wrote about meeting here back in the 1600s. For them, these bluffs weren't the home of a monster. They were a sacred place, inhabited by some very powerful spirits. This timeline kind of helps us see where we're going. We're starting with that 1836 myth, but then we're jumping backward in time, past the first European account, and going all the way back to the ancestral Mississippian culture that actually created this painting over 1,000 years ago. And here it is, the real meaning. Piasa comes from Páyiihsaki. The plural is Páyiihsaki, and it means the small ones, or little people. These weren't monsters. They were powerful spirit beings considered the original inhabitants of the cliffs. The legends say that if you passed by their home on the river and didn't show respect, these little people would throw stones down at your canoe. They were guardians of the bluff. Okay, so if the name refers to the little people, what was the actual painting of? Well, all the evidence points to this being the meši-pisiwa, or the Underwater Panther. Now, this was a huge figure in the beliefs of many tribes, a powerful spirit or Manitou of the beneath world. It had the body of a huge cat, horns that showed its spiritual power, and a long serpentine tail. This was a being you respected and feared, the master of the river's depths. This is what the Illiniwek were seeing on that bluff. But believe it or not, the story goes even deeper. To really get why the Underwater Panther was painted right there, we have to go back even farther, to the ancestors of the Illiniwek, the incredible Mississippian culture of nearby Cahokia. For them, this painting wasn't just a picture of a spirit. It was like a map of the entire cosmos. You see, the Mississippian worldview was all about the sacred balance between three different realms. You had the upper world, home to the thunderers, think powerful birds of prey. You had the beneath world, which was the realm of the great serpent panther. And stuck right in between them was our world, the middle world, where humans live, constantly navigating the influence of the powers from above and below. And this is what changes everything. The painting's true purpose wasn't to scare people with a local monster. It was a secret marker. It was a signpost indicating a spot where the barrier between our world and the powerful beneath world was incredibly thin. It was marking a portal. I mean, just think about the geography for a second. The Alton Bluffs are right there at this massive confluence where three major rivers, the Missouri, the Illinois, and the Mississippi, all come together. For the Mississippians, a place like this was radiating with spiritual power. It was a place where the beneath world's influence was strongest. So the painting of the meši-pisiwa was both a warning and a prayer.
It was an acknowledgement of the panther's domain to ensure you could pass safely on those dangerous waters.
So let's just put all these pieces back together, right? We've gone from a pretty simple colonial-era campfire story to a really complex and deeply spiritual indigenous worldview. It's a pretty powerful example of reclaiming a story that was lost. So, to sum it all up, the story isn't about a monster, it's about a Manitou, a powerful spirit. The name Piasa is a mispronunciation of Páyiihsaki, the little people who guarded the bluffs. The painting itself showed the meši-pisiwa, the underwater panther, and its purpose wasn't to scare you, but to mark a sacred portal at this powerful meeting of rivers. It was a place of profound respect, not a monster's lair.
What a story like this really shows us is that just beneath the surface of so many of our local legends, there's often a much older, much deeper truth. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What stories are hidden in the names of the mountains, rivers, and bluffs right where you live, just waiting for someone to understand them again?